Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Mortgage Business Mastery Podcast. So, today I'm joined by Jack Rogers. He is the founder of Keychain, a powerful client onboarding platform that is transforming how mortgage brokers manage admin, collect documents, and chase clients. Now, if you've ever felt bogged down by endless follow ups, by compliance paperwork, or missing fact finds, this one's going to be a game changer for you. Now, Jack and his team have built something that helps brokers automate the messy parts of client onboarding while keeping the personal human side of advice intact. So let's dive into the conversation. So Jack, the first question I've got to ask for you here is, what problem were you trying to solve for brokers when you created Keychain? Just give us a bit of a background into that.
Yeah, sure. So I think the main problem that we saw and kind of identified and we're hearing from brokers was that as people were moving to kind of more remote digital processes, that they really actually struggled to get all that information and documents in from clients. So where previously the kind of broker or advisor client meeting might have been face to face, clients bringing along their documents, signing documents in person, going through the fact find, that increasingly advisors were finding it difficult to manage and stay on top of that information gathering process. So what we had kind of built was a system where brokers could invite their clients to their own kind of branded client platform, where clients would very clearly have a kind of action list of what they needed to do for the broker. So, sign the IDD privacy policy, upload these specific documents, fill out these fact finds, fill out this medical questionnaire if they were doing protection. But then what we kind of also kind of built on top of that was, as we built that kind of first version, we saw that there were all these other problems that kind of came up. So, or problems around that. So, things like I'm inviting my clients, but they're not actually doing the things. So then we kind of implemented the automated reminder system to actually kind of move clients along that process and make sure to take that job that off the advisor's plate of following up with clients. And then, as other pieces of technology evolved, we've always looked at how we can implement that to save advisors and admin staff time. So clearly another big job around the documentation is actually checking it. Has this client uploaded the right set of documents? And is that set of documents consistent with the fact find? Are there any red flags on the bank statements? You'll see a few lenders already have this technology built in their kind of origination systems. So we've kind of added that in as well. So the system's kind of really there we kind of see our jobs really as getting advisors that complete, full, checked, ready to go case file. That's really kind of the problem that we solve for advisors.
Yeah, that onboarding situation, you said these are things that are very admin heavy and time intensive. So being able to solve that is a huge win. I know that me and you spoke about this off air. Like it's a pretty very labor intensive, like very, very labor intensive. So I can imagine the feedback's been pretty good from that case.
Yeah, and I think also, right, onboarding, particularly of new clients, is your first impression to a client. It's, sometimes clients, particularly depending on where the leads come from, might be speaking to a couple of advisors. I think we've kind of really seen with the firms who use our platform that one of the things they've really liked is how much advantage it gives you in that really, really important bit, right? Ultimately, new clients are what earns people money, and where we were seeing kind of new, kind of really digitally enabled advisor firms, your likes of Habito, Trussell, those guys coming to market. We wanted to make that technology and those kind of smooth digital processes available to brokers of any size, from kind of one-man band advice firms to, the much bigger firms as well. So yeah, I think client onboarding is a really, really important part of the process, making that journey as smooth and easy as possible for clients and for advisors and admin staff.
So how does Keychain actually save brokers time and reduce that admin chasing documents? How does it actually work? Because we've spoken a little bit about why you set it up, but could you just unpack that a little bit for the listeners here watching this?
Yeah, cool. So as I said, there's all these kind of different tasks that the platform facilitates, from signing documents, uploading documents, filling out fact finds. When advisors can kind of set up their account to their preferences, so what documents they usually ask for. If they've asked for credit reports, if they ask for 3 months pay slips or 4 months pay slips in a P60, they can kind of set it up exactly to how they usually, or to their preferences really. But what then happens is advisors will invite their clients to the platform, and then also kind of program in very kind of easily. It takes, 20 seconds to set up your preferences, how many times you want to chase that client and how often. So it will follow up with the client, but also know, because everything's in one place, what exactly that client's done and what they've got left outstanding. So it will know that, Joe Bloggs has signed all the compliance document and filled out the fact find that you've asked them to do, but they're missing their bank statement. So it's going to send them a chaser on that. So it's really kind of there to just automate that process. So, for larger brokers, the platform sending out 20, 30, 40 chasers a day across the client base, knowing, okay, this client still needs to do this other client needs to do that, and sending them chasers on that. We also send those chasers where we know clients do things. So that's early evenings on weekdays and mornings on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? There's no point sending someone a chaser for documents at 7:00 on a Friday night. So we also kind of use that, the data we have on the platform around when clients do things to make sure those chasers and reminders are as effective as possible.
So it's working in a human way. It's thinking of it from a human perspective, which I think is really interesting. That.
Yeah, I think it's really important as well. I think that one kind of point to note around the chases, it's clear that the client's being chased by a system, not by the advisor or the admin doing the chasing. I think there's this fine balance between people like getting reminders and need those reminders, but also people really don't like being chased, right? So in those emails, the email reminders that go out to clients, it's clear, that this is an automated email that's being sent because our system's picked up that you're still missing these things on your case and we really want to move you forward. It's very clear to the person that it's not, Ash sending them an email at 10 a.m. on a Sunday, aggressively chasing them. And I think that's some of those kind of psychological things of, people have a real aversion to being chased or feeling like they're being hounded, but also, you do want their documents and you do want them to sign things, is an example of where technology and use of some of these tools can really add kind of tangible benefits to businesses.
I know I need to be chased. I hate being chased. And I say this even to anybody. I'm like, I'm buying a house right now, and I say to them, like, look, I'm being chased. Chase me, because I will not. I'll hate it. I'll see your email. I'll get annoyed. I might swear a bit, but I will also be like, but I'm also happy that you're chasing me. So I know what you mean. And I also, one thing I wanted to kind of double click on a little bit what you said there, which I like, and it's going to lead me to my next question, but I'll kind of tap on this bit first, is this idea that being like very transparent. So as you said, you're not pretending. And I think this is something we're seeing with automation a lot, which we must come into my second question, but I'll ask you this bit first, is if you hide behind the automation, pretend it's you, I think it's a recipe for a disaster, I think. Whereas when you're saying this system is this, when you get a message from me, it's me, I think that's something that I like, and it's not normally adopted. A lot of people don't seem to, especially the advisors I speak to, they're like, especially if they're really into automation, they're like, I really want that to look like it's me. And I don't think it should look like it's you.
I completely agree with that. I think, we've got in maybe a 3-4 line email, we've got that bit at the start, which makes clear that it's an automated email, but also another caveat at the end, which says, if we've caught up separately and, say someone's just spoken to their advisor, right, on a Friday afternoon and said, oh, actually, I'm not going to get those pay slips till next week. And then the system sends you a chaser saying, we're still waiting for the pay slips. That if it looks like that's coming from the advisor, the person would be confused, right? Hold on, am I imagining things? We spoke yesterday and I said I wouldn't have that. So we've also got that other caveat, which says, if we've caught up separately to this email, obviously ignore this, right? This is something that's being automated. This is, it's a piece of functionality in our kind of client onboarding platform, but it's not, designed to be written in the advisor's tone of voice and, some kind of detailed flowery email to the customer asking how they are, and then also subtly asking for things. It's very clear, this is an automated email, and we find that that's really effective. Keeping it direct to the client, like, you're getting this email because we spoke last week and you were very keen to move forward, but I need those documents for you, does move them along versus sending and I think in general our British kind of tendency is not to be quite direct with clients and to kind of always add in kind of niceties, but it's effective, and if more than kind of other bits of the platform, I think even more than kind of some of the AI powered document analysis, I think that bit is really a bit that advisors value a lot and see the tangible benefits of. We're getting documents back from new clients quicker. We're getting documents back from more leads that previously we weren't seeing. We're increasing that conversion rate. So yeah, I do think it's a really powerful piece of kit.
People drastically underestimate how much you need to, and I don't like the word pester, but it is, for someone to actually take action. It's the same with marketing. It's all behavioral science. It's an idea of they need to see you multiple times and do it multiple times before you take action. It's crazy. The one thing that's going on in my head as I'm talking to you is all the things that I have not done yet that still need to be chased. Like in my own mind, I'm like, oh, I haven't accounted at this, so you're triggering it. So quick break from the episode. If you want to see how Keychain could work inside your mortgage business, Jack is offering listeners an exclusive 2-month free trial. All you have to do is book a demo with Jack himself using the link in the show notes or description. And he'll walk you through how Keychain saves hours of admin every week and helps you deliver a smoother client experience. All right, let's get back into the interview. Which brings me on to my next question, which is a little bit like it's kind of what we already talked on already, but kind of would like to dive a bit deeper into that, is how can brokers use, brokers using automation, when they're using it, how can they use tools like Keychain without losing that personal client touch? And I think this is becoming more and more of a thing that people are talking about a lot, is we need to keep that human to human interaction whilst utilizing this smart tech that exists. How have you seen people, and what's your kind of recommendation, advice to clients that you work with to kind of keep those two worlds running in tandem?
Yeah, we've always been pretty clear on what function our platform serves. It's an admin platform, it's an onboarding platform, but it's there for admin tasks. It's not there to, as an example, right? We don't have, and this is a conscious decision, we don't have kind of a chat facility on the platform. We don't have like a kind of instant messaging box for clients to write messages to the advisor, right? And I think where part of the reason we've done that is that clients prefer to communicate with advisors in different ways, right? Some will like to speak on the phone, others will like to WhatsApp. But I think that kind of advice element is very important and can be kind of part of, and what we see advisors using our platform for is kind of one stage in the overall process. So, lead comes in, they have the chat with that client, say, look, I'm going to invite you to our client platform. It will kind of collect the necessary bits of information. After that, we're going to book in a meeting. With the full information, I'll be able to walk you through some recommendations, some illustrations, can answer any questions you have at that point. But it's very clear to the client that, okay, this platform or this tech is purely to make this part of the process more efficient. It's not that someone's trying to palm me off on some automated system that I'm never going to speak to you again. It's that, it's just a way to make both of our lives easier, to keep track of what's been done, what still needs to be done. But yeah, I think the advice element is, we see a lot of different preferences from advisors around even just the onboarding piece. I think the advice piece is, advisor preference led, but also obviously client preference led, right? If your clients want to, meet you face to face, or actually they just want you to send a massive long email with all the advice. I think the advice element is a separate piece completely, which is, still very much human to human and isn't really designed. It's not something we do within our platform, right? Or trying to do.
I love that. I think it's an important thing. I think, a lot of people are trying to, and why I'm saying that is I think a lot of people, and when you spoke about this off air, there's a 50-50. You got half people who are like really anti this kind of new kind of smart tech AI kind of revolution, whatever people want to call it. The other people are really on board, really aggressively wanting to use it. And one of the things I think is you do need both. You still need to balance the two. And I think what you guys do is really, really good at balancing the two. You know where you fit and you know where you don't.
I think as well, right, it's a spectrum, and as with anything, and there's not one point on the spectrum that's the correct point to be at. I think, different firms will have different preferences. We have some firms on our platform that's completely flexible. We have some firms who really just use the platform for like e-signing compliance documents and collecting medical information. They don't use other parts of it. They might not even use the AI stuff. That's completely fine, right? That tech helps them get compliance documents signed, and it works. It does a job for them. Whereas we have other people that use kind of every last feature we have, use it to its full extent. And again, they use it because it fits naturally into their process and it's what works for them. I think kind of being at either end of the spectrum, that, you know, this is completely bad or everyone should be using everything, isn't a great way to think. Whereas actually it's, how can this stuff just help me in my day to day? What jobs that I'm doing at the moment can it help me with? Am I asking clients to print a document, sign it, and send it back? That's friction in my process. What tech can, and you know, it's not necessarily our platform. There's other tools out there, you know, e-signing tools and things like that. Or, you know, am I struggling to get the documents in from clients? If you kind of take a step back from, I want to use AI in my business, or I want to use some of these platforms in my business, say, what are the actual things which are slowing me down, making life a bit more difficult for clients, and then trying to find solutions to fit that rather than kind of the other way around. I think that's probably the right way to go. And that's, you know, definitely in our business, how we approach software is, we've got this issue, which bit of kit will help us solve this issue, whether it's, you know, managing our tasks or, you know, managing, obviously we're not an advice business, but managing documentation and onboarding from clients. So yeah, I think that's really how we think about it. We always try and fit the technology around the advisor's process rather than saying, look, here's our platform and this is the process it follows, 1, 2, 3.
I'm sure you get this question all the time. I know that you do, and that's what we need to address it so people can understand this, which is, how easily does Keychain integrate with systems that brokers already use? So CRMs the networks provide, platforms like Go High Level, Pipedrive, you know, these are ones that you see a lot of people use, marketing CRMs. How easily does it integrate, and or not easily? And if not easily, what's the kind of thought process around what the decisions you guys have made?
Yeah, so in terms of kind of integration with other platforms, we integrate with a couple of the I'm not sure the right way to describe them, but kind of the, I guess, full suite CRM mortgage.
I don't know what to describe them either, by the way. I never know how to call them. So it's not...
I call the CRM platforms which are used by networks. We integrate with a couple of those. They've largely been driven by clients. So where we had a client, you know, basically the network was using us as a kind of onboarding platform, and then rekeying information into the CRM. The network basically said to the CRM provider that we need to open that up so we can send the data. And we're always very happy to do that. There's a couple more that we're working on. We haven't publicly announced any of those partnerships, but, you know, we're happy to talk about them privately. I think.
Don't announce anything publicly. Don't do anything publicly.
No. So there's. Anyway,
there's some cool stuff in the background. There you go.
We can and do integrate with that. Clearly, you know, on our end, right, we integrate with a load of things behind the scenes. We integrate with, the AI models to power our AI analysis. We're integrating with a lot of stuff. We're built to integrate with things. I think some of the other systems out there, right? I'm still talking about the mortgage CRM systems. A lot of those systems have client portals within them. Right. So, clearly we're a kind of specialized client onboarding platform. And I think sometimes there's some friction there, or there would be a lack of appetite for that type of integration because, you know, people have, particularly kind of networks and other things, have bought that platform on the basis of that being a key bit of their functionality.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, well, why do we need to integrate something else if you're already doing that? I think the advisors who have used our platform kind of immediately see the benefits of using two systems, where we're kind of very specialized on that bit. Other systems are probably more focused on the compliance element and you know, sourcing and other things that we don't do. Platforms like Go High Level and Pipedrive, we're definitely keen to integrate with. That's something that will be coming in the new year. We see a lot of advisors using those platforms for sales and marketing CRMs. I think they've got really powerful functionality in there. It's not something that we're probably looking to do in terms of those specific tasks that Go High Level and Pipedrive do, or the problems they solve for advisors. So I think there's quite a natural integration there, and they're definitely open to kind of integrating with more providers in the space. So yeah, I'm not sure if I've answered your question.
Really. You've answered it completely.
We integrate with a couple. I think some of them, there's, clearly will be more tricky where there's probably a lack of, not from our side, right? We're happy to integrate with anyone, but a lack of integration, for a lack of appetite for integration from other platforms, and that's completely understandable. And we respect that. But then, there's a couple of other platforms which are less mortgage and protection specific, more kind of sales and marketing CRMs, like your Go High Levels and Pipedrive, where we don't integrate as at today, but it's something on our roadmap for the next few months.
So wanted to just double tap on something again that we spoke about. We spoke about this off air, me and you just then, but and I think it's not on our list of questions, but I was just like, I think it's a good thing, is this idea of brokers often want we're looking for the kind of what I call like the holy grail of systems, that everything is all in one and it does everything for everything in one system. And me and you were both chatting about this just before. What's, this idea of like, it's a 6 out of 10 for most things, but if you want a 10, could you just kind of explain what we were talking about with that? Because I think that it's a conversation. I'm more doing this because it's a conversation I have with clients. It's a conversation I have with people in DMs when they're messaging me asking about tech and like different platforms and software. And I think your take on it was very, because you're literally in the trenches of this, your take on it was very exactly aligned with what I said in a much more articulate way.
No, I think so. Yeah, we get this the whole question the whole time when people book demos with us, where they might be using a kind of all-in-one or one of those platforms that we're talking about that kind of sells itself as a kind of all-in-one platform. You don't really need to leave this platform. You can collect client information, go straight to sourcing, even goes directly to the lender. You can also do your sales and marketing, compliance, billing, all of that stuff, all from one platform. I think what we see and where we've built our business is that works really well for some firms, right? That it's great to, and particularly bigger firms where they need that kind of oversight over individual advisors. You might have some very junior advisors that you want to make sure are following a compliant process. But for other firms who kind of want a bit more, I guess, flexibility over different areas of the business, I think there's only so much. And this isn't a criticism of any other system or systems. I think it's really hard to do everything well in one place. We see how hard it is to do one area well, right? Like we've been around for over 3 years and building just on this thing, and I don't think we see ourselves like anywhere near done on that bit. It's really hard to do any part. There's so many different parts of the advisor job, particularly more than other industries, right? It's not like being, so there's the compliance element, there's the kind of research element, there's so many different bits that I think having different systems, and I'm talking from the perspective of our clients, right, who use our platform alongside other systems, having systems which are really good at one thing and you go to for one thing can be a benefit, right? That system is delivering that thing for you, and if they're not delivering it, then you can walk away from, or if there's a better solution for that one thing, you can go to that solution. I think that's where we've built our business. We try to be the best in that one area. Now that might sound really kind of pessimistic and I think every platform, every software platform's improving the whole time, right? But I think it's just the case with anything, right? That if you've got people who are really focused on one thing versus people who are focused on everything, that hopefully the people who are more focused on that one thing kind of can do a slightly better job. But there is that trade-off, and it kind of links back to the last question of integration and juggling multiple systems. I think the advisors who we work with think that trade-off's more than worth it for all the benefits that our system brings. But we speak to other advisors who don't want multiple systems, right? And that's completely fine as well. I think it's just the same with everything in life. It's a trade-off between what works for you.
What doesn't? Yeah. So can you share, and this is, I'm sure you've got loads of them, but I'd love to know like an example of a broker and a firm, an advisor, whatever it may be, just a success story of where someone has implemented using Keychain well. It's like an example of where it's been really utilized, how you guys designed it, and what the results they saw in their business since then. That'd be really cool to kind of share with the listeners.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we've clearly got a lot of we get a lot of feedback from customers and testimonials on our website from advising their success stories. I think people always talk about how easy it is for clients. We really focus on the simplicity of the platform, but in terms of kind of tangible benefits, and I think linking back to the past couple of questions, one of our kind of bigger clients who are Connect Mortgages, Liz Sims, who's the CEO of that business, was on a podcast with Accord recently, and I was listening to that, and she kind of spoke about how the improvement they've seen from using our platform versus the client portal within their CRM system, which is also one of the CRM systems we integrate with. But essentially that rate of customers filling out fact finds, providing all the documents, e-signing compliance documents, basically doing all the tasks that they wanted clients to do on the portal or on the platform, increased from 3 or 4 out of 10 to 8 out of 10. So if you think that's just a kind of tangible example, and that's not a firm that's not using any technology, they were using the client portal within their CRM system. So that is already kind of, they're using some time savings there, but that kind of gives an indication of the level of improvement of how some of these things, these small things all pieced together, having a simple platform, the reminders, all of those different bits can lead to a really tangible improvement in how your clients are kind of going through that process with you. So I think, that's probably kind of the clearest. We actually rarely ask for like the actual quantification of it, right?
Yeah.
Like people say like, oh, it's great, it saves us so much time, whenever how many minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was something they clearly measured. So and as I say, that's something that they've kind of spoken about publicly. So that's a really good example of that, I think. And that's for kind of, as I say, quite a big firm who is also a very tech first firm. So it's not that they were kind of starting from a standing start.
No, I love that. And then my final question for you for this episode, and it's a bit of a kind of, where do you start type question, is that for brokers who feel overwhelmed by tech, because they do. There's quite a lot of advisors that I speak to. Doesn't mean I work with them, but even some of them I work with are quite overwhelmed. But majority that I work with are a bit more tech savvy. But the brokers who are overwhelmed, what's the first process? We talk about automation a lot. What do you think, from your own experience, you're an expert in this, what do you think should be the first thing they should look at automating? Because effectively your system is an automation onboarding system at its core. What do you think is the first thing they should be looking at if they're pretty overwhelmed by it all?
Yeah, I think starting, and we've seen this a lot with firms who've started using our platform, is that often people start with one or two of the tasks to kind of help with. So if you think about the tasks, the key kind of client end tasks, right, it's signing documents, uploading documents, filling out a fact find, or some parts of the fact find. You can really tailor the fact find to how much or how little you want it to do, and also the medical questionnaire. We've seen a lot of firms start with signing documents and uploading documents, right? They think, actually, I don't want to touch my fact-finding process. That's a key bit of how I build rapport with clients. But what I always need to do with all clients is get them to e-sign some documents and collect some documents for them. So I think they're some really good places to start. We also see some firms who really start with the medical questionnaire, right? This conversation I'm having with the client, going through all their health conditions or their family history, is pretty painful for me and the client. It's not a great use of either of our times. So kind of starting with, I think, just really picking one element, right? And it will differ firm to firm. Like some advisors for their compliance don't really ask clients to e-sign documents. Others, do less protection. So the medical questionnaire isn't as much of a pain point. But I think trying to think of, okay, what's one or two things which clients are either complaining about, grumbling about, or they're slow to do, and then really just seeing what's out there. And as I say, it could be like a kind of individual solution in one space, right? Like, okay, I'm asking clients to print out a document and sign it. I'm going to speak to DocuSign or Signable or one of these other platforms because they do that signing piece just in isolation. Or, if you're struggling to do kind of various bits of the customer journey, I think platforms like ours are great for combining those. But yeah, I think trying to start with just one specific pain point that you're feeling rather than the other way around. And we spoke about this earlier, which is I want more AI in my business. It's like, okay, for what? Like, as in, what do you want it to do? Like, as in, having technology for technology's sake is pointless, right? Like, it will make life harder for you, for your customers. But having good technology which solves a pain point is obviously really, really beneficial. So I think, trying to figure out, okay, what's the one or two things I want some tech to help me with, or what can this improve in my process? Speak to other advisors, right? See what they're using. And then, that would be where I'd start. If you're kind of feeling like you have kind of a manual or an old fashioned process, want to improve it, but don't really know where to start, is thinking, okay, what's the part of that process that's causing me the most friction or inserting the most friction for clients at the moment.
Massive thanks to Jack for joining me today. Keychain is one of those tools that is genuinely helping brokers win back time and improve client experience without losing that personal touch. Many of my clients are using Keychain themselves, and if you want to see it in action, remember you can book that demo directly with Jack and get those 2-month free trials using the link in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in to the Mortgage Business Mastery Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.